PMacMovies back for another PMacMovies reviews video, which we haven't had in ages. I feel like it's been months since we did one of these. I didn't actually look to see how long it's been, but it's been like, it's definitely got to be over a month. I'm thinking 2, maybe more than that. I can't remember. I really have something in my eye that's bugging me. I just looked and I couldn't, I didn't see an eyelash in there. But anyway, I'm already going all over the place. Oh, this is going to be a long video. I got the coffee mug. I got the coffee. And we're ready to kick back, relax, and talk about some movies. I got a couple stacks here. It looks like about 20 movies, maybe more than that. Like I said, it's been a while since I've made one of these. So some of these movies might be from like a ways back. I'm not sure. I didn't even actually look through my whole pile. But some of them are recent. So some of them I'll probably have a little bit more to say about. I do try to be careful on spoilers, but I can't promise anything. Take a look in the description section for ways that you can help out the channel if you do enjoy my videos. The reason I haven't been making these is because when I make reviews videos, I don't want to just share like the regular standard perspective on these movies. I mean, that is going to be the case with some of them that I do that, but you know, and then I think I get into some stuff like some messages I think that are in the movies and things like that, and I start thinking like, do I really want to talk about that? I'm going to get some blowback for that. But I got to just go with it. And it is a shame that when you do talk about things like outside the box or things that most people don't necessarily think about, things that turn people off, you know, it's caused the channel to not grow and things like that. But the reality is, like, I got to be myself in these videos, whether people like it or not. You know, playing a role or playing a part, that's just not something that I enjoy doing. So even when I act silly and stuff in these videos, it's still like kind of how I am to some degree in real life too, just like kind of letting it out. But let's take a look. Let's pour a little coffee here. I put it in this mug to keep the heat because, you know, if you just pour it in a regular mug, it gets cold quite fast. The problem is it's a little drippy. Okay. And I don't want to get my movies coffeeed. Pretty hot still. Might need a little bit more sweetness in it, actually. Let's take a look, though, at the movies. But make sure you kick back, relax, grab your favorite beverage, whether it be a little coffee, soda. I don't recommend it, not healthy, but soda, tea, water, whatever you like to drink. Put enough sweetener in your coffee, though, so it's not so bitter. I should listen to myself. Anyway, this to me this is a classic one. I really enjoy this movie. It is The Man in the Iron Mask, which is been quite expensive ever since it came out. This did, I think, get like an MGM release, but I don't know that I've ever seen that for a good price. You know, that's out of print now. This is from a 4K scan put out by Shout Factory. It's from their Shout Select line, and I think I paid about 18 bucks for this, which is the cheapest it's ever been. Even if you take a look at like the buy two get one sales at Target, it's so expensive that it's still more expensive than 18 bucks. So I remember watching this when I was growing up. I think my dad rented it or something. It seemed to me to be a pretty popular movie back then. You don't really hear too much about it now, so maybe it wasn't really as popular as I thought it was. It's a Leonardo DiCaprio movie, and it's a story with the Three Musketeers, and then King Louis XIV, directed by Randall Wallace. This has got a really good cast. Jeremy Irons, John Malkovich, Gerard Depardieu, Gabriel Byrne. Those are the main ones in this. I really enjoy the movie. I think it's really fun. And it takes like kind of that historical type of thing. You know, it's parts of it are true, but it's not really. It's just kind of a take on history or whatever. But I don't watch it as like any sort of true story or anything. I don't, I guess I can give up what it's about. It's like a replacement thing where they're replacing the king with his twin brother. But it's from what, 1998? If you haven't seen it, sorry. But it doesn't try to be too serious, which I think works for it. It could have been like kind of a Braveheart or kind of a Gladiator, like where it's very, very serious and things like that. But it's serious enough, but it also has silly stuff thrown in to kind of keep it light, which I think helps, because it could be a really dark movie because there's some twisted shit in it. But it actually feels like more of a blockbustery type movie where it's fun, it's got enough seriousness, it's got enough entertainment value. I really enjoy this movie. And part of that is the nostalgia. I liked it when I was a kid growing up. It's 132 minutes. So I definitely recommend this one. And, some of these might be going out of print and stuff like that. I don't know that this one in particular they're saying is going out of print, but Shout, Scream Factory, a fair amount of their movies and stuff seem to be going out of print. And this is an MGM one, so I don't know what's going on with all the MGM stuff, but definitely a movie. It's got a nice slipcover too. Definitely one I would think that many people would want in their collection if they enjoy this kind of, period, kind of epic, like period, I wouldn't say epic, but a period type of movie, not trying to be realistic, trying to be fun, entertaining. PMac's best entertainment, 20th anniversary edition. That's some good stuff. This one I actually just got done watching this morning. It is a kino called The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane. Jodie Foster, Martin Sheen. Don't really know the other people. I was surprised because this is a new one, and it didn't have subtitles. Like, it just came out recently, I think. Like, this year, within the last few months. It was $10 in a kino sale from 1976, 91 minutes. I was surprised it didn't have subtitles. I know some of their older stuff doesn't, but I think most of their newer stuff has subtitles. But, so I want to talk about this movie a little bit. First of all, it's rated PG. Wow, okay. Holy crap. This movie's rated PG. Holy cow. So this type of movie, to me, it just felt like a lot of the stuff that happens in this movie would not be in a movie this day and age, but I guess I could be wrong. Martin Sheen in this movie is a blatant pedophile. Like, it's very, very blatant, and he's really, really creepy in this. Too creepy, to the point of where Martin Sheen has to be a creepy son of a bitch in real life. He very most likely is. But he is a creepy son of a bitch in this. So, Jodie Foster's character is 13 years old, and he's after her, and it's blatantly obvious, and the town knows that he's that way. And so just some of the stuff that it shows in the movie. And then this guy here, I don't know if they say his age, but he's seems to be several years older than Jodie Foster's character, and they have a very, very close relationship. So there's just some stuff that, definitely with Martin Sheen, it would definitely make you feel uncomfortable with some of the stuff that happens there. Very weird. Not that it's necessarily, unfortunately, that kind of stuff does happen in real life. It's just very uncomfortable to watch it in a movie, and I just feel like a lot of that stuff that they showed in this, they would not do anymore. What do I want to say? Jodie Foster's really good in it. I liked the kid there, the kid who, I I don't know who the guy is there that plays Scott Jacoby. I thought he was pretty good in it as the kid. Who he mentions in the movie that he got his one leg. He has an issue with one of his legs because he got 2 of the polio vaccine, which was like an interesting little thing that came up in the movie. What else did I want to say about this? PMac, this is why I don't make these videos a lot. I thought it was good overall. I think, what I wanted to say about it is it shows, like, this is a 13-year-old girl, but she's more responsible than, a lot of adults. And she questions, in the movie, why are kids told what to do and things like that? At what age am I going to be, like, not told what to do? And she talks about, like, school and, like, why do I have to go to school? It's just like a program thing that people think, oh, you need to go to school. Well, just relying on the system to be taught is, first of all, it's forced much more nowadays, but couldn't the adults in a kid's life teach them enough? Like, but I know people don't think that, but it's all programming. You could learn a much better way of life outside of the public education system. So she's an independent person, and she's functioning fine as a 13-year-old adult, more or less. But the scenes with Martin Sheen are creepy. I watched The Hunt here. I think it was it last weekend I watched this? So obviously a recent movie. I actually enjoyed this one quite a bit. I see Damon Lindelof was associated with this. His stuff tends to be pretty good. So the main character in this ends up being Betty Gilpin. It kind of throws you for some loops, and it's a fun, entertaining movie. It definitely takes a look at like different like political affiliations and things like that, and like class thing, like the rich people versus the poor people sort of thing. There's a lot of stuff as far as that, and then I could go into particulars on it, but I didn't write anything down, and PMac's memory isn't that good. So The Hunt, I believe this was $8 on Black Friday. And glad to have this in my collection. I did find it to be a fun movie. This next one I recently got. Actually, this one is going to be in my haul video that I haven't made also, so I got to remember to put this in there. It is Narcopolis. This is a movie, or Narcopolis. I don't know if I pronounced that right. 96 minutes from 2015, so it's an IFC midnight kind of indie movie put out by Scream Factory. I don't know if I just wasn't focused on this enough or what. It didn't... The overall story with this movie could have been very interesting. It's a world where, like, drugs are legal, and it's basically this big corporation that's selling them, and it's just, it's seen as okay, and it seems like almost everybody's addicted to these drugs. But anyway, it focuses on a cop. Drex are an elite unit created by an overstretched police force to keep the black market dealers off the streets and the licensed drug companies rich. What? Totally made up bullshit. Anyway, so you can tell it's kind of like trying to be like a Blade Runner thing by the front, but it really, the story just didn't really, I thought it started off really interesting. I just didn't care. The main character, I just didn't care about him. Like, I don't know. He just didn't come off as likable. And so I thought the end of the movie was pretty good too. Like the beginning and the end I kind of liked, but the middle, it just didn't do enough. Like it's a movie with a lot of potential that just didn't do anything with the potential. And then there was some time travel stuff in there too and whatnot. So it had, it's a movie where it just didn't build the characters enough, in my opinion. Coffee. Up next, a movie I watched last night. I was planning to watch this with Charmy, but she said she had already watched it, and then she was busy with other stuff. Serendipity here. Starring John Cusack and Kate Beckinsale. This is a pretty light romantic comedy. The two characters meet in the beginning of the movie, and she's all about, like, you know, if we're meant to be, you know, we'll run into each other again and things like that. And then they end up splitting apart that night, and years later they kind of keep getting brought back to each other, even though they both have different partners. And then the whole movie, the whole movie is basically them, like, trying to find each other there a few years later. Which, I thought it was an entertaining movie. It was kind of frustrating because I, like, just miss each other and stuff like that. But overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a nice, fun, romantic comedy. Not bad having it. And I was thinking that this was put out by Paramount, and it is, but they haven't changed, like, the Lionsgate disc at all, so when it comes up, it comes up as, like, Lionsgate and stuff when you boot it up, which is kind of interesting. They didn't change anything on it, but it doesn't bother me any. I also watched this last night. This one, if you have it, you probably got it from Hamilton Book, and probably a lot of you didn't get it from Hamilton Book. It might still be on there. It's called Lying and Stealing, and I really enjoyed this movie, actually. I mean, I'm not saying it's anything great. It's put out in 2018. The main characters here are Theo James, who was in the Divergent series, and I thought he was really good. He's kind of a low-key, low-key kind of guy. I really liked him in this movie. I think I've liked him in other things, too. Like in the Divergent movies, I think I liked him. He's a talented fella, really. I kind of like his presence. Kind of a low-key kind of type of thing. But he's basically a thief, and he's I believe his father owes some kind of, like, debt to this basically criminal who's into stealing art pieces. So he's having Theo James' character steal art pieces. And then I guess this girl's Emily Ratajkowski from Gone Girl and I Feel Pretty. I don't really remember her in anything, but she's really nice. She's not half bad to look at. I liked her too. I thought she was good in this. And I thought it was just overall a really entertaining movie. An entertaining heist movie. It had some stuff with, like, the guy, the boss there, the crime lord, and then there's an FBI guy after Theo James, and it was just a fun, entertaining movie, and it kind of drew me in. And then there is some stuff going on with his brother, who is an alcoholic, so there's some stuff weaved in with him. Not anything that somebody would call a great movie necessarily, but I thought it was a really entertaining, fun movie. So I really enjoyed that one. Okay, then we got a TV show here. I'm already getting kind of sick of talking about these, and I still got a lot left. We might have to break this into two. A show called Picard here. I'm sure you've all heard of it. It is 8 hours and 8 minutes. It was just put out here, 3-disc set. I believe it was 10 episodes. I liked that it was a lot different. Not that I dislike Discovery. I think Discovery is entertaining. But it was a lot different than that, and it was a lot different than other Star Treks, and I enjoyed it. It's definitely a running storyline. It's not like an episodic sort of thing. It does bring up characters from the Star Trek series, especially the Next Generation, and then I think a few others too. But it ties a lot in with Data. Data and androids are the focus of the story. I think it's something that I think a lot of stuff went over my head. I have to watch it again to kind of comprehend some of the ideas that are presented in this. But to me, it seems somewhat this and like Westworld and these things that are bringing up like artificial intelligence and things like that. I really want to kind of take a look at the deeper level of what they're putting in this stuff. But that was definitely a big focus of this Data and his sort of, his creator, and then, his subsequent androids made, I guess, before or after Data. It's an interesting one. Patrick Stewart's definitely up there, but I enjoyed it. I definitely recommend watching it for Star Trek fans. Not going to say that I loved it. I think I would have to watch it again and really process everything. Let's pour some more coffee here. We're not in a hurry. I'm not anyways. If you are, you can do what you gotta do. The true PMac movie fans will stick around. And maybe they won't even stick around. Coffee. I really should put some more syrup in this. I put maple syrup to sweeten it, and I was trying to do a little bit less today, but it was definitely not enough. Up next, we have a movie called The Caller, which was put out by Vinegar Syndrome. And this is basically, the whole movie focuses on these two characters played by Malcolm McDowell and Madeline Smith. They're just talking the whole time, and you can tell something's up with their conversation, like there's something that you're missing. And, you're probably going to have some ideas as to what you're missing, and you're probably not going to, you're not going to be correct. You're better off just taking it in, not necessarily trying to guess, because you're not going to be right. But I was actually very pleasantly surprised by this movie. I liked it a lot. And I also watched Beastmaster from Vinegar Syndrome, which I forget. It must have been somewhere else, so I didn't grab it. I watched Beastmaster, and I'll tell you, this movie, The Caller, is way, way better than Beastmaster, for me anyway. I really like this movie. It really is the type of movie that pulled me in, because I'm like, what's going on here with these two people? Basically, in the beginning, he's following her home, and he's like outside her house, and then she opens the door and lets him in, and they seem like, she doesn't seem like afraid of him or anything, and he's it's like a weird dynamic from the beginning of the movie, because you're thinking like he's following her, but then it turns out to be something totally different. So don't really research this movie, don't look into it too much, just pop it in, and enjoy. It's a good one. I really enjoyed it. Definitely one that's staying in the PMac collection. So like I said with Beastmaster, it's still upstairs, and that makes me think I was putting some like nicer edition movies. I probably took them out of my watched pile and put them on the shelf, because I had these on my floor, and I didn't want stuff getting damaged. So I put some on the shelf. But anyway, Beastmaster, very beautiful edition from Vinegar Syndrome. Beautiful. However, the movie is not very good. It's kind of like a cheesy fantasy movie from like the 80s or whatever. It's just, I really like Coscarelli, and it was very low budget and things like that. So it's fun, and fun little fantasy movie. Really not that great though. Not that great. Beautiful edition. Up next, I might have even talked about this one before. This is an Arrow video one, which doesn't, the slipcover looks really nice, but it actually, the material and everything isn't their best. It's pretty like, kind of like a normal sort of thing, but I think that looks great. Dream Demon is a movie that I watched so long ago, I don't really remember much about it. I'm thinking maybe I shared about this in a previous video and just forgot about it. It's nothing great, but I enjoyed it. It's something like a Nightmare on Elm Street, where the characters in the movie are having some horrifying dreams. And I thought the story was put together pretty solidly. But again, I watched this months ago. I just cannot remember enough to share about it. But I would say I like the addition of it. And it's definitely a movie that, like, I feel like I could watch it again. And it's one that's not so simple that it's like not worth rewatching again. I think it's one that I could watch it again, and it has the depth to it where I would enjoy it quite a bit the second time also. So definitely one that I want to keep in the collection, Dream Demon. Up next, Hello Adrian. Hello Adrian, I see you, Adrian. It's I See You, starring Sylvester Stallone. This was a movie that didn't get very good reviews. And it's not a great movie, but it's also not a horrible movie. Like, I found it to be pretty entertaining. Sylvester Stallone plays a character who's tormented by this serial killer, who I believe he kills cops, and then in the beginning of the movie, he comes after Stallone's girlfriend, or wife, I can't remember, I think it's his girlfriend. And it develops things just enough to get you into the character and into the movie. And Stallone's character becomes an alcoholic, and his boss from work sends him to this far-off rehab place where it's like, it feels like kind of like, I forget where it is, but it like feels like they're out in the Thing with Kurt Russell, like out where it's all snowy and stuff. And so the serial killer ends up being out there and tormenting him. And then, there's other actors in this too. Tom Berenger, Sean Patrick Flannery, Robert Patrick, Jeffrey Wright, Chris Christopherson. So it's got more than just Sylvester Stallone. And I think I paid about $10 for it, $9 or $10 for it. And I would say, is it worth that? I mean, if you want all the Stallone movies, or like entertaining Stallone movies at least, I think if you're a fan of Stallone, which I am, you want to get this. Like, I definitely want to keep this in my collection. Is it a great movie? No. Has this sort of thing been done before? Yes. But I enjoyed it. It's kind of like a fun action movie. Like, it's nothing too serious. There are definitely some serious parts, but it's an entertaining movie. I enjoyed it. And, does Stallone get his revenge? Good movie. I enjoyed it. Not great, but fun. Up next, we have a TV show called Stargirl. This is a DC show, which I've talked about in other videos, because I think I showed off that I got it. And, I might have even showed it off that I got it, and that was after I watched it. We watched this one pretty quick, so it's 567 minutes. I think it was maybe 13 episodes or less. I'm thinking 13, but it might have been less. So it's got Luke Wilson, Owen Wilson's brother, plays the stepfather of the main character here, Stargirl. And basically she finds out in the beginning of the show from Luke Wilson. He used to be involved with these heroes, but they all got killed off by the villains. He still has like some stuff that belonged to them, including the staff, and she finds that the staff is actually like attaching itself to her. And then the super villains come back out. They're all in this town that the family lives in there, and then she develops relationships with friends, and then some of them get the powers of some of the other superheroes from previous that had been killed by the villains. And I really enjoyed this show. I thought it was fun. I thought it was fun with like the school aspect to it, which I enjoy that, and then it was like building the characters of the heroes and the villains, and it was just entertaining to watch. It was quite a bit different than any of the other DC shows, so I liked that it was unique, and it kept it again serious but fun at the same time, which is kind of a theme of this video, that I enjoy that sort of thing. So I liked it. I thought, the acting in it is solid, and I'm just staring at it. It's good. I like the cover there, too. I like the blue. Up next, another movie that looks like it would be a fun one. Max Reload and the Nether Blasters. This is from MVD Visual. Came out in 2020. Holy crap, I don't even know if I realized that. This does have Kevin Smith in it briefly. And some other people you may recognize. That guy, he's been in some other stuff like Heroes. I couldn't really get into this movie. I thought, you know, it's somewhat fun. It's okay, but I didn't really get into it. It didn't take. So is it one that I would buy again? Not necessarily. Is it one that I need to keep in my collection? Probably not. I'd probably put this in the sell bin, which I'm going to be working on soon here to sell some of the movies that I don't necessarily want to keep. So that one may be going away. I rewatched Wonder Woman because I was getting ready for the Wonder Woman 1984. Wonder Woman 4K here, 141 minutes. Got this in a Black Friday sale a few years ago for $9, I think. I'll tell you what, I like this one a lot more than the second one. The second one, the recent one here, it's just so different than this one. This one had more building on where she came from and kind of the standard Wonder Woman story, because I've seen like the animated version of this too, where it's like kind of the similar thing. Where, you know, Scott Pine's character crashes and then she ends up in helping out, and it's during like the time of World War I and things like that. Really enjoyable story. And then the villain of this, it's really interesting, something I want to talk about too with like, I've looked into mythology somewhat, and is the mythology, is it that those mythological characters are gods? Did they really exist? Is it representations of like nature? Is it representations of us? What is this? And this, it's an interesting take on it because I've heard it several ways. And then this take on it is that like the gods are in actual like world leader type of things is what it ends up being. Is this evil god that is ends up being in one of the human world leaders, which I think is a very interesting. Are they saying something through that? You're crazy, PMac. But it's just interesting, where do they get these ideas from? I mean, where do the people making movies like this, which that sort of thing I feel like is something that happens a fair amount, where a person is not just a normal person, is not necessarily what you think they are, but they do that sort of representation in a lot of movies. So I thought it was cool. I thought it was really good, and I was disappointed with Wonder Woman 1984. I think if you're looking at that movie from a certain perspective, it could be enjoyable. I feel like that was a bit like the scope of it seemed bigger, the first Wonder Woman, and I think the second one, it did get into that more towards the end, so it kind of engaged me more towards the end. But I don't know, it just didn't have the same feel to it as the original. And so I think if you look at that movie, understanding that it's going to be a lot different than the first one, you might enjoy it more. Up next, we have a movie that I've watched a few times, but I wanted to watch it again. It is Inception, and I'll tell you what, I can barely lift this set because this thing it's got the slip cover with like the lithographic thing, and then it's got like, it's got no eco case, and this case is pretty firm. 3 discs. I mean, it's hefty. It's hefty. It's got some heft to it. Another Leonardo DiCaprio movie, and another Christopher Nolan movie. With a lot of movies, I feel like there's an exoteric meaning, the meaning that you're going to get from it if you just watch it with a bowl of popcorn and you're not thinking too much. The meaning that most people that are just watching the movie to be entertained are getting. And then there's the esoteric meaning of it. The beneath the surface meaning of it. And there's with this movie, Inception, there's a lot of beneath the surface things that you can take from it. First of all, how much of our reality are we actually creating is a thought. Secondly, are we currently in the dream of a dream of a dream? You don't know, like, is this reality your only main reality? Or is this like, what's the best way of looking at it? This is basically like, this is just a life, and eventually you die, and then you wake up back where you were, your like original state. It's like when you dream. When you have a dream, you sleep, everything in the dream you think is real, and then you wake up and you're back to this reality. Well, what if this reality is a dream of what if this isn't the original reality either? How would you know any different? So, and I don't know that this, I think there's some, we came from somewhere. So when we pass away, we don't just go away. We're not just the physical body. So when we pass away, like, where does our spirit go? Where are we? Because, we can't, our body can die, but our spirit can't die. So that's kind of what I think about when I watch this movie. And, I think Leonardo DiCaprio's character in this movie, we never see him outside of a dream this whole movie. The whole movie, he is in a dream. And it doesn't spell that out. I think it kind of leaves it up to the viewer. But at the same time, he's lost touch with reality. I think there are some, I've looked into it a little bit too after I watched it, because I feel like, this whole thing is a dream. He's dreaming and dreaming. The whole thing is a dream for him. And, I mean, to him it's real at the end. But I still think, and I kind of tie that to this too. Like, this is kind of a dream. Is this reality our main reality? I definitely don't think it is. But, I mean, we could look more into that too. I don't want to go too deep with it. But up next we have a movie called The Lazarus Project, which is a Sony movie, a Paul Walker. I think I talked about this one recently when I showed it off. I enjoyed this movie. I always enjoy movies where it's like, you don't know if the main character's like crazy or what. If they're saying they're crazy, they're in like some sort of dream state, they're in real life or what, so it kind of keeps you guessing. And this is actually, I think this is an under-the-radar movie. This is one that I haven't really heard talked about and stuff like that. So it's one that I definitely find it to be entertaining. I think Paul Walker's good. I like him as a lead. He's a sympathetic kind of character. He's got the charisma, but he's also got kind of the low-key sort of thing, like that guy in that art stealing movie I talked about, Theo James, kind of a similar feel to those two guys, Theo and Paul Walker. But so I enjoyed that one. It's pretty good. It's, like I said, it's a movie. It's kind of a thriller. It's a movie where you're not sure what's going on, what's real, what isn't. It's basically a psychological thriller, and it's a good movie. So definitely one to seek out. I feel like I talked about this one before at 12. I might have talked about this in a previous video, but Jennifer Connelly's in this. Really good one. I definitely recommend you snag it up. It's a Scorpion releasing one from 1989, 101 minutes. Again, what is reality? What isn't? What's going on with these characters? And it's got kind of a take on the Black Swan again. So if you like a movie like Black Swan, or something like, Suspiria's got the dancing to it. Definitely different movies, but I feel like these movies with like the ballerinas or whatever the heck they are, the dancing, famous dancer, the dancing and stuff, they get really interesting with some of the ideas beneath them. Actually, the recent Suspiria movie, I thought was really, really interesting. It went in directions beyond where the first Suspiria went. And so it wasn't like just a remake of it. It was like a really like different take on everything. Man, my hair here looks really crappy. All right, we're already at 40 minutes. I'm just taking a look at what else I got. Okay, so I'm going to go through these fairly quickly. There's only a few that I really want to talk about. I have Empathy Inc. from Arrow Video. This is I feel like I talked about this in another video too. When did I talk about all these? Empathy Inc. It's a low budget kind of thing, sort of like Pi or Primer, things like that. I felt like it wasn't as good as those movies. Basically, this guy loses his company, loses all of his money. He's married. He's trying to be successful to provide for his wife, and he gets into this putting into this business, and the business ends up not being exactly what he thinks it is, and it ends up with all sorts of trouble and difficulties, and he finds out what it really is, and shit happens. So, not necessarily one that I recommend buying. I think it's worth one watch. I will probably never watch it again, so another one that I would probably look to sell, actually. Empathy Inc. I did get the one with the booklet. Not a bad movie, just nothing I necessarily need to watch again. I enjoy Vin Diesel. I feel like Vin Diesel he's got that charisma that the 80s, early 90s action stars have, so I like him. And this is a fun one. Not a great movie, but it's a fun one. Bloodshot. I think it had definitely some unique stuff going on with it. I'm not going to go too much into what happens in it, but basically he's like a soldier, and then they use some sort of like nanotechnology, and he becomes like basically not human anymore, really. But he's looking for revenge throughout this movie, and it's basically just a fun action movie. It's nothing great, but definitely something that when it's on sale, if you like action movies, go ahead and grab it. Then we have Tammy and the T-Rex, starring Denise Richards, oh yeah, and Paul Walker. This is just a fun, silly movie. It's enjoyable. It's funny. It knows what it is. It's trying to be silly. It's trying to be funny, and it's a pretty fun one. Tammy and the T-Rex. This movie has a lot of depth to it. Again, I feel like did I do a reviews video already? What the hell? I feel like I talked about these already. The Swimmer. This again, I think this is another one. To me, felt like it has a exoteric meaning, which is more, the exoteric meaning is more about like, I would say, the classes and, this wealthy class and how they live and how they're not appreciating what they have necessarily. They're getting drunk and having parties on the weekends and cheating on their spouses and caring a lot about money and things like that. So there's that aspect of it. But then there's the soul aspect of it. And he actually brings it up briefly in this movie. Something feels otherworldly in this movie. It feels outside of just taking a look at different classes and how people live, which that's definitely part of it, definitely part of what you could see. But there's kind of like a soul aspect to it, like, where, you might get into like a reincarnation sort of thing, or a, I should have wrote things down about this, but we come into this world as a child kind of carefree and just enjoy our lives and are more in tune with our emotions and nature, and we just are, and we just enjoy stuff. But that kind of gets driven out of us through the system, and we get focused on money and work and prestige and looking a certain way in social circles, and we lose that important portion of our life, like our childlike way, which is when we really enjoyed life, when we didn't necessarily own anything, and we didn't have all these system responsibilities like paying bills and having a certain place in society and things like that. It's a really good movie. It's put out by Grindhouse Releasing. It is from 1968, 95 minutes. I like me some Burt Lancaster. I gotta watch more of his movies because I've liked everything that I've seen from him. So that was a really good one. I'm going to try to get through a lot of these without talking too much because there's not a ton to say about some of these. Butcher Baker, Nightmare Maker. This is a pretty entertaining one where you got like some creepy shit with the ant. The ant's a real weirdo in this one. And the cop is also like a big time asshole, the detective. And, basically this is a high school kid. He's on the basketball team and stuff like that. And a good kid, and then he gets kind of pitted with his aunt being a psycho, and then this cop being kind of a psycho too. And it's a pretty entertaining movie, but nothing I'm going to get into deeply there. TV show that I guess is still probably running. It's a really good one. It's called Pennyworth here, which Warner Archive put out. I really enjoyed this show. Me and Charmaine watched it. It's 564 minutes, so again, maybe around 10 episodes or something. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, we really like this one. You know, it focuses on the history of Alfred Pennyworth, Batman's bodyguard, from when he was in England, and it does focus a lot on, the Waynes, Bruce Wayne's parents, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was very entertaining. And I can't remember how it ended, but I'll look forward to seeing the next one. It's definitely not something that's... It definitely has some kind of like grotesque stuff in it too. Like it wasn't just kind of a regular DC show. Like I'm not even sure where this aired. Was it on like the DC network or something? I'm not sure. But it definitely had some more violent aspects to it. Some mature aspects. Up next, we have Jennifer Lopez in The Cell. This movie actually, if you look into it, you think, okay, this movie's going to have some depth to it. It's about they're getting in the minds of this killer. They have this technology where they can get into like the dream state or mind of people, and they utilize it, I think, with this young kid who's like in a coma or something. But they utilize it for this killer to get into his psyche. And I felt like this was a lot more style over substance. It was a lot more about the look of it and that sort of thing rather than getting into very much depth. So I was kind of disappointed with it. I did watch it once on DVD years ago, probably 15 or so years ago. So I wanted to watch it again. I did, and I was underwhelmed with it. It'll be one that I want to keep in the collection, but... it's not like, it doesn't really have the depth that I was hoping for. Alice Sweet Alice is a fun 70s slasher movie where they get you focused on, who the killer is, and then maybe it is or maybe it isn't that person that they kind of get you feeling like the killer must be. I think there is definitely some religious focus of this movie. Like I feel there's a component to it, like if you're outside of the morality, the religion's going to pinpoint you and focus on you, and then this movie literally takes you out. But I don't know. I don't. This is one I watched too many weeks ago to really know exactly what I was thinking when I watched it, so I can't say. This one I was disappointed with. It is a Rutger Hauer movie called A Breed Apart. I really don't think it was very good. It was not necessarily what I thought it was going to be. Like, they kind of make it look like with him here that it's like an action movie with Rutger Hauer being a badass. He's really not in this movie. It's mostly like a drama between Rutger Hauer, Powers Booth, and Kathleen Turner. And it's like, so Powers Booth characters, I believe he's being paid to go get this eagle egg that this egg collector wants. And Rutger Hauer, like, owns that property and he's guarding it. And, it was kind of disappointing. I might put this in. I like Rutger Hauer movies and I want to have his movies, but I don't know if I necessarily need to keep that. We'll see. And then this one called Helezusa, which I feel like, again, I talked about this already. I talked about it! This is similar to something like the Witch, which came out a few years ago. Arrow put this out in 2020. It looks like the movie came out around 2017. And it's a movie that could really be interpreted a variety of ways. So the townspeople definitely, I guess the townspeople apparently see this little girl's mother as a witch. And in the beginning of the movie, the mother dies. It doesn't spell out a lot of stuff. In the beginning of the movie, there's this old guy who stops him and says something about this, some sort of demon or spirit. And it doesn't explain anything. I think it started with a P. And I'm like, interested in what that was. So after the movie, I looked into it because they didn't mention this again. So I believe that has something to do with with what happened in the movie, definitely, as far as there was some demon possession, some weird shit going on. But it doesn't spell anything out. So this girl grows up as an adult. Her mom, like in the beginning, her mom died and she has this baby. You don't know where the baby came from. And then she meets this girl who appears to be around the same age. And then they seem to be friends, and then some stuff happens with her, and you don't know what is what. It doesn't necessarily spell everything out for you, so it's very much a movie that you watch, and then you're like trying to interpret exactly what happened in the movie. And I think it's an interesting one. I enjoyed The Witch more. The Witch is a more entertaining movie, and I think most people are probably going to find The Witch to be an easier, better, more enjoyable movie. And some people just won't like this one because it leaves too much up to your interpretation. But some people, I think, will enjoy it a lot. It's slow. It's not the type of horror movie where it's just coming at you and being clear and, a slasher movie. It's more of a, psychological kind of thing, a slow thing, a build-up, quiet. There's not even a whole lot of dialogue in it. You're pondering what you're seeing. You're not necessarily there's a lot of stuff in this movie where you don't even necessarily know what the heck's going on. It's some weird shit. You don't know what's part of the main character's psyche. You don't know what is real. So it's interesting in those regards. So, yeah. I guess that's all I have to say about it. Some crazy shizzle. And that is everything. I kept it less than an hour, so that's good. And I got through all of them, other than the ones that I put a round up there somewhere. I don't know. There's probably a few that I didn't show off here that I watched. So, and some other TV stuff that I haven't shown. We've been watching like Star Wars Clone Wars, which is a good animated show. And then some other stuff also. I think we've streamed a few movies maybe. But let me know your thoughts on any of the movies that I watched that I showed off. What are your thoughts on these movies? I'm interested to know if you've seen any of these and what your thoughts are on the ones that you've seen. I definitely appreciate you guys commenting, and sometimes it feels like I'm not getting as much feedback as I would like, and then that kind of keeps me from, it's one reason why, should I even make these? Like, how many people are even going to pay attention to it? So that's why you end up getting like one every few months. I do appreciate, though, the people who do leave feedback. I do appreciate that you watch it, you participate a little bit. That's nice because, if you take a look at the numbers, a lot of people just watch and don't participate in all. They can't even hit the thumbs up button. Like, really? That's that hard to do? Click! That's really that hard? I'm making a freaking hour-long video. People are getting great entertainment out of this, and then they can't even click. So it just kind of makes it so I'm like, what's the point of making a video right now? Like, what's the point? So I end up not doing it most of the time. But I motivated myself enough today. It helps having 4 days off in a row. But anyway, I do appreciate you guys watching. Hit the thumbs up, the like or whatever it's called, and comment and all those things. And we'll see you next time on PMac Movies.